headquarters in Johannesburg, South Africa, to the rest of Africa, this is CII Radio Live.
Assalamu alaikum, welcome back. It is Yemen Jadid this morning, the tail end of the show. We're going to be speaking to Mufti Ismail Desai this morning. This week's segment will be focusing on 3 different types of financing currently available from an Islamic standpoint. And Mufti Ismail is joining us in our weekly segment about Sharia-compliant business campaign. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti, and welcome back to the airwaves this morning.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Abdusab and the esteemed listeners of Channel Islam International.
Jazakallah khair for taking the time to join us once again. The 3 topics of discussion this morning is Islamic off-plan and construction finance, Islamic commercial and business funding concepts, as well as lay-by in Islam. Mufti, can you please commence with this morning's Sharia-compliant business campaign topics and explain each one individually for our listeners this morning? Bismillah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli wa nusallimu ala rasulihi al-kareem amma ba'd. The first concept that we will discuss today is the concept of Sharia-compliant off-plan and construction finance. In general, there are 2 important concepts. The first is the concept of salam, in which the full price is paid in advance for an item to be delivered at a mutually agreed future date. Secondly is the concept of istisna, in which the price may or may not be paid upfront. However, the transaction is concluded for an item not yet in existence to be delivered at a future date. An example of salam is, for example, Zayd purchases an item from Bakr. However, Bakr does not have the item currently. So therefore, Bakr takes an advance from Zayd to deliver the item in the next 2 months, for example. This is an example of a salam or an Islamic forward transaction. An example of an istisna transaction or an Islamic manufacturing transaction is Zayd purchases 1 real estate unit or an apartment from Bakr for a fixed price to be delivered in the next 12 months. In effect, in an istisna contract or an Islamic manufacturing contract, the item of sale is not yet in existence, and this is then termed as an istisna or an Islamic manufacturing contract. There are different parties in an istisna contract. The first is the mustasni', or the purchaser, that is the requester that seeks to purchase an item of manufacturing. The second is the mustasna', or the seller and the manufacturer. In essence, when it comes to istisna contracts, there are a few important points to note. The first is that the item of sale or the item of manufacturing has to be specified in terms of every aspect. It has to be well advertised so that there is no ambiguity that could lead to any future dispute. Secondly, is that the price in an istisna needs to be well fixed and very specific. Thirdly, is that in the event that the manufacturer delays the delivery of the item, then the purchaser has the right to charge a penalty or to reduce the price. And this is what is termed as a shartul jaza. And this monetary penalty, in effect, is only permitted in the case of an istisna contract. Furthermore, the manufacturer has the right and could also charge a deposit. And this deposit is also known as the urboon contract, where an advance is taken for a contract. When it comes to real estate and construction finance, istisna is one of the most commonly used concepts in Islamic finance, banking and economics. In other words, that let us say there is a real estate contractor or a real estate development company. The real estate development company requires funding in order to develop real estate units. So therefore, the real estate developer would approach an Islamic bank. The Islamic bank will purchase the real estate units off plan for a fixed period of time and then conduct a parallel istisna with clients or with retail clients, for example, that would then purchase the real estate units for a fixed price and the Islamic Bank would benefit in terms of its profit. So therefore, istisna can be used for real estate off-plan and construction finance. In terms of construction finance, generally the concept of the build, operate, transfer is used by corporations, governments, etc. for Islamic construction finance. And this refers to EPC contracts or BOT contracts for off-plan road funding, etc. We find various and several governments that currently use the istisna contract, albeit probably in a hybrid construct, to fund the construction of roads, bridges, etc. The second important concept that I wish to discuss today is the concept of Islamic commercial and business funding. Indeed, if we want to achieve barakah in our business dealings and in our transactions, then we should ensure that we conduct our dealings in a Sharia-compliant manner. Remember that we recite the tashahhud 17 times daily. And the background to the tashahhud is that we say, Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That this is a response by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to three du'as that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during the night of Mi'raj. And this is a commentary that is provided by Mullah Qari rahmatullah alayhi, a great muhaddith and scholar. Imagine that 17 times daily a Muslim is guaranteed barakah and blessings in his dealings if he ensures that his dealings are Sharia compliant. What more guarantee do we require in order to ensure that our business dealings are Sharia compliant? Nevertheless, there are several concepts that we wish to discuss in terms of Islamic business and commercial funding. The first concept is the concept of mudaraba, or the Islamic sweat equity partnership. In other words, that the entrepreneur has a great idea and however he does not have the capital. So therefore, the entrepreneur or the mudarib, the sweat equity partner, seeks capital. And the Rabbul Mal is a businessman that has capital, but he does not have the idea or the concept, nor does he wish to actively pursue. So therefore, the entrepreneur seeks capital from the entrepreneur or from the capital provider or financier that provides him with the capital. So the entrepreneur is known as the mudarib or the sweat partner, whereas the investor is known as the Rabbul Mal. These two parties engage in what is termed as a mudaraba or Islamic sweat equity partnership. And in essence, the fundamentals of an Islamic sweat equity partnership are that the mudarib or the sweat partner only stands to lose his or her expertise in a mudaraba partnership. The mudarib does not lose his or her capital or investment amount in the JV or Islamic business partnership. However, the Rabbul Mal or the investor will only lose all of his capital in the event of a total loss. When it comes to the profit cannot be fixed as a fixed number. For example, Zayd and Bakr invest into a joint venture with Yusuf, and they cannot fix that the amount, let's say they invested 10 million rand, they cannot fix that the amount of the profit has to be 1 million rand on a yearly basis. That would constitute interest on a conventional loan, which would be impermissible. However, they can fix the percentage of the profit ratio. For example, they say to Bakr that I am investing 10 million rand into your business. However, I would like a 60% profit share in the business. Now, in this event, the profit as a fixed number is not known and specific. Therefore, this will be a Sharia compliant business or sweat equity partnership. And one of the fundamentals in terms of an Islamic business partnership is that of the profit and loss sharing mechanism. In other words, that as it appears in the hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, al-ghulmu bil-ghurmi. In other words, that you can only take a benefit if there is a risk. If you don't take risk, then you cannot take a benefit. So this is the concept of mudaraba, and there are a number of contemporary issues in terms of the Mudaraba and the Islamic Sweat Equity Partnership. And inshallah, we will discuss this and a number of other concepts in next week's discourse, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair for joining us, Mufti Ismail. Any further details you'd like to hand over to our listeners this morning before we conclude? Any information, websites, articles that they can read up more on the Sharia-compliant business strategies?
Alhamdulillah, we have established the Sharia-compliant business campaign website called www.shariabusiness.com. Again, www.shariabusiness.com, and you can refer to this website for all your resources on Islamic finance, business and economics. Alhamdulillah, there are a number of fatwa or Islamic legal edicts that are also uploaded regarding this specific issue. You are most welcome to pose your questions there, and inshallah we will respond to them and issue a fatwa regarding that. There are also audio podcasts on Islamic finance on the website. Inshallah, we will also upload contracts, Islamic business contracts on the website, and you can read those contracts and download further information on Islamic finance from the website, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair once again, Mufti, for joining us. We'll catch you again next week, inshallah. Wishing you a great day and a blessed week ahead, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
That was Mufti Ismail Desai, our weekly correspondent, giving us information about Sharia-compliant business campaign strategies and how to understand Islamic off-plan and construction finance, commercial and business funding concepts, as well as lay-bys in Islam. Those are the topics of discussion for today.
From our headquarters in Johannesburg, South Africa, to the rest of Africa, this is CII Radio Live.